welcome. And here we have for today a very interesting facts lesson or video ASMR style about Vikings expansion, or let's say Viking Empire. And what was the Viking expansion, which was between 793 until 1066 CE? We can say Viking expansion. Well, it was, let's say, a historical movement which led Norse explorers, traders, and warriors, known later as Vikings, to sail most of the North Atlantic Ocean, reaching south far as North Africa and east far as Russia, and also in the Mediterranean to the Constantinople and to the Northern Africa, but also to the west. Vikings under Leif Erikson reached North America to set up a short-lived settlement in Newfoundland, Canada. So here we can say today Canada. But longer lasting and more established Norse settlements were formed in Greenland, Iceland, Faroe Islands, Russia, parts of Russia, of course, and Great Britain. Well, researchers have suggested that Vikings may have originally started sailing and raiding due to the need to seek out women from foreign lands. Well, let's talk about this kind of hypothesis. Let's dive a little bit into their history. Rich and powerful Viking men tended to have many wives and concubines, and these polygynous relationships may have led to a shortage of eligible women for the average Viking male. Due to this, the average Viking man could have been forced to perform riskier action to gain wealth and power to be able to find a suitable woman. In their raids, Viking men would often buy or capture women to make them into their wives and concubines. Well, this is an hypothesis. Another hypothesis is related to the fact that the Vikings tend to expand their territory in order for goods and trade. Well, we have talked of the term empire. But, well, it's not like literally in the same way. The Vikings did not establish a centralized empire in the very true meaning with fixed borders like the other historical ones. Instead, they were known for their widespread exploration, riding, and trading. Across various regions. And let's start with the regions that the Vikings have settled, raided. First, it's the Scandinavian peninsula. Well, here we have the settlements from the 8th century, 9th century, and 10th century, and this marked with dark red or brownish, it's the 8th century, right? The 9th century, we can say, are these ones here, on the actually Sweden and part of Norway. So in the 8th century was also part of Denmark. Also in the 9th century you have some small parts of northern Baltic countries, Lithuanians, Prussian lads, and here in the Russian states. In the 9th century also parts of England and Scotland and southern Ireland. Good. In 10th century, most of them were focused on the Russian territory and Greenland. So this is 10th century. And this with red, it's 9th century. In the 11th century, those are marked with yellow. It's the southern England, so this is 11th century, and Italy, southern Italy, 11, Sicily, and northern Africa. Well, marked with green, they are subject to frequent Viking raids, but with little or no Scandinavian settlements. Well, actually, so these marked with green are raids. We can see that most of the northern shores were raided by the Vikings, together with some inland parts of Russia today and even on the Caspian seashores or Black Sea. They reached also the islands of Corsica and Sardinia today, the Iberian Islands, Peninsula, and northern Africa. Good. Well, the Vikings explored and settled in the North Atlantic. Like I said, they settled Iceland, Faroe Island, Greenland, and possibly North America without knowing that they are on the other continent. Their influence was widespread, but their political organization was not centralized. Let's talk about some less known facts. For example, longship technology. Vikings used long ships, which were shallow draft vessels with both sails and oars. This technology of long ships allowed them to navigate both seas and rivers, giving them a significant advantage in terms of mobility. Trade routes. Vikings were skilled traders and established trade routes that connected Scandinavia with regions far as Byzantine Empire, which is right here. Middle East and even Asia. Raids on monasteries. Early Viking raids were often directed at monasteries in areas like Ireland and Britain and even France or Normandy. Monasteries were vulnerable targets due to their wealth and lack of military defenses. The settlements in England. Vikings eventually established permanent settlements in parts of England, particularly in Danelaw region, which was under the Viking control for some time. Well, Normandy. Vikings known for their Norsemen or Normans settled in a region known as Normandy in northern France. Rollo, a Viking leader, became the first Duke of Normandy in the early 10th century. So, Rollo. Iceland settlement. Vikings settled Iceland in the 9th century, and over the next few decades, a thriving Norse society emerged. Norse society. Greenland colonization. Eric the Red. Eric the Red. And other Vikings established colonies in Greenland in the late 10th century. And now Vinland, which was in North America. Vikings led by Leif Erikson explored parts of North America around 11th century. The exact location are still debated, but sites like Newfoundland in Canada are often associated with Viking presence, so this was under Leif Erikson. Eastern Europe. Vikings engaged in trade sometimes, and conflicts with regions from Eastern Europe, including Russia and Byzantine Empire. The Varangian Guard, an elite Byzantine military unit included Scandinavian warriors. The downfall of the Carolingian Empire. Vikings contributed to the decline of the Carolingian Empire in the Western Europe. The Viking presence and action had a lasting impact on the political landscape. Volga trade route. Here, Vikings established trade routes through the rivers like Volga. Volga, connecting the Baltic Sea with Caspian Sea and Byzantine Empire. They played a significant role in trade network. Known as Volga trade route. And another fact, it's Silk Road connection. Vikings may have indirectly participated to the Silk Road trade, as some of their goods found their way into the hands of travelers who traveled along the Silk Road. Viking exploration of the Arctic. There are some evidence suggests that the Vikings explored the Arctic regions, possibly reaching areas like Svalbard and other northern territories. Some Viking sagas and texts hint at knowledge of lands beyond their typical routes. For instances, there are references to a place called Hvitramanland, which remains unidentified, but it's speculated that is between the Arctic and North America. I will try to write down the name, which is Hvitrama, double N, land. So this is unknown. Hvitramanna land. Vikings, while Vikings often associated with Northern Europe regions, they ventured in the Mediterranean, engaging in trade and working also as mercenaries. Mercenaries. In the Mediterranean basin. Viking artifacts, including weapons and clothing, have been found in the Mediterranean area and Eastern area. Archaeological sites, of course, suggesting connections and interactions in this part of Europe. Vikings' graves in areas like Kiev and Birka include items from various cultures, showcasing the extensive trade networks and interactions with the local populations. Some historical evidence suggests that Vikings may have had contact with Central Asian cultures like Chinese and Indians. The role of women in exploration. While men are often associated with Viking exploration, recent archaeological findings suggested that women may have played significant roles in these journeys as well. Symbolic stones in the North Atlantic, rune stones, rune stones, rune stones found in the North Atlantic, particularly in places like Greenland, bear inscriptions indicating Viking presence in the local environment. Well, as an outro, the Viking exploration and interaction were diverse and reached far beyond the commonly known areas, contributing to a complex and interconnected web of cultural exchanges with the local populations. Good. Very astonishing facts that we have discovered today about Vikings or Norse people and their expansion, let's say, empire in the 9th and 10th century. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I wish you all the best. Alright, so we're done with the Vikings. Perfect. Okay. Marianne